What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Rich Nice back once again for another project on Megatron. You might ask yourself, well, why are you underneath the truck? And I'll show you why. Today's project is we're going to be replacing these horns right here. It's a cheap horn kit. I think it cost me like $120 or something like that. It does good, but I came from HornBlasters on my dually, which when they sound it, they would actually shake your pants leg. So as you can see, we're using a universal bracket. This is for your tank, really. What I did, I just made this hole bigger that's on these horns just so I can bolt them right here, keep them up out of the way. I still have my spare tire. And then if we go up on the other side, I'll show you where the actual tank is. Again, I didn't want to have to drill any holes in my truck because this thing is really expensive, and yeah. So let's go over here and I'll show you where the tank is and show you how we're going to replace it. Alright, here's our tank. It's a I think it's like half gallon or something like that, maybe 1 gallon. It has the built-in compressor on it. It's already wired up. Here's where our air hose goes to our actual horns over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to reuse this universal bracket. I have another one of these coming for tomorrow, just because I wanted to make sure and we're not doing this type of setup for the new horns. So I wanted to be able to use these same brackets because they're universal. They're made by Firestone. I'll put the link in the description. So what we're going to end up doing is putting our tank up in this area right here, and then putting our compressor over in this area right here. That way it's being blocked by this storage compartment that's in the floor of the truck to help keep some water away from it, that type of stuff. Yeah. And so let's go look at what we're going to use to replace this system. And this system is pretty loud. I think it's probably 140 dB. The good thing is majority of our wires are already run, are positive and ground. So it should be a really easy install. We just got to kind of figure out how to where to bolt everything up at and go from there. Yeah, so I think we're going to end up having to put the tank up here and put our compressor right here. Or we could run it over to the other side and put our compressor at the exact same spot on the other side. But that's going to require some hose being run. And more than likely, if we do decide to put it on the other side, we'll take the hose, we'll come up, we'll go up here, and we'll go through the frame, through this hole, out the other side, back down, and then to the compressor. And then the horns will be right back there where they're going to be at. So but more than likely we're going to keep everything on the same side, passenger side, just make it real simple, and go from there. So let's go check out what we're going to replace this with. Alright YouTube, so I'm going to show you what we're going to replace our old train horns with. The wife came through for me for Father's Day. Gotta love her. Big shout out to the wife. These are HornBlasters. This is the same setup that I had on my dually. It's the rocker edition. HornBlasters. You can see them all over YouTube. But don't blow your temper, blow your horns. So they have some serious train horns on there. like the Conductor Nightmare Edition. It's a little pricey, but if you want people to get out your way, that'd be the one. So let's get this open and see what's in it. Put you guys up here. Shredded cardboard box for packing. That's new. Haven't seen that one before. All right. Here's one of our horns. Here's our airline. Here's some more airline. Here's our second horn. We have all of our fittings. These are 1/2 inch, 3/8 NTP fittings that we're going to use to hook everything else up. We have our valve. We have our power wire. Some more wire. We have our fuse and our on and off switch. So if we decide to hook it to our horn, all we gotta do is click that, and then the actual air horns will work versus the actual horn. But I actually have a button for the old horns inside already, so we're not going to be using this switch, I don't think. Then we have our horns themselves. We also have our instruction manual, some HornBlaster stickers, a couple of cards. All right, so this is everything that's in the kit. You get your 2 horns. You have your 1/2-inch line. You got some 1/4-inch line. You have your power wire that goes along with your fuse. You have additional wire in case you want to hook up that switch. You have your fittings. And then you have the actual system itself. So even though HornBlasters does not recommend taking this compressor off, for our installation, I think we're going to have to take it off just because it won't fit up there with the amp steps and all that good stuff. And the reason why, we're going to move this and put it someplace else. So what we're going to end up having to do is go get some more fittings and just run air hose from here back into here, and go from there. So it should be straightforward. I do have another bracket, like I say. It won't be here till tomorrow afternoon. But we need to get the old tank out so we can put the new one in. And then here's your connections for your compressor and your valve, air valve, that'll fill up to 150 psi. So we're just gonna have to run some additional wire once we move the tank over from here to the compressor itself, which shouldn't be a big deal. Hook our lines in here, shouldn't be a big deal, and go from there. So more to follow. All right, YouTube, we're back. Gotta have that morning coffee. It's the next day. I had to run and get some more parts because we're trying to make a custom system. So let's see what we got. All right. So this is the universal plate. We took our compressor off of here. It was 4 screws. And we're going to bolt it here. And the way this thing works is it comes with 2 of these brackets, and these brackets fit in right here, just like this. Fit in like that. And then these big U-bolts go around your frame, and then they come in right here and they bolt up right here, and then this will bolt this to your frame. So this is what we're going to use for our compressor. We'll bolt this to this. I have another one of these coming from Amazon today. So until we get it, we can't actually mount the compressor. Go figure. But we'll get as far along as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bolt that to this plate. Just got to figure out how I'm going to mount it. So more to follow. All right, YouTube, we got our compressor mounted to our plate. The reason I mounted it this way, it'll sit on the frame just like this. That way our breather is up out of the water and dirt and debris. If we need to, we can always take and get a relocation kit for this breather right here and put it up higher, make sure it doesn't get any water or anything in it. So the reason I put this compressor over here is because there's another space just in case I want to add a second compressor. I can do that. Also, I had a piece of little flat aluminum laying around, so I used this to mount my holes, drilled holes, and mount my horns together, as you can see down here. And basically what will happen is they'll sit just like this. on the truck underneath. I did use some thread sealant, so you gotta make sure you use thread sealant. You do not need thread sealant on compression fittings like this. You need some down at the bottom, but not on this part up here. Just FYI. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go grab our creeper. Put our horns down. And we're gonna need 2 of those nuts, which are right here. So here's our bracket. These are our wires for our valve. So we'll cut these loose and put our valve someplace over here or something out of the way. So with these, this is the way they're going to sit. I could use some self-tappers and try to mount it to the actual frame itself, which so I could mount them like this. As you can see, they stick down this way. They're up out of the way. I don't have to worry about anything getting in them. Just like that. So I will get these bolted up. Here's our old airline. And go from there. I'll be back. Alright, YouTube, we got them bolted up. As you can see, got our airlines up here, so they're ready to go. So we just plug our airlines in here from our valve. So we're well on our way to making this thing work. Again, I did not want to lose my spare tire, so if I ever do get a flat or I'm on the road or something like that, I will have a way to at least get me to the next town or whatever to get a new tire, or at least home. So again, this is a custom. This is not the way it's made to be mounted, but it is what it is. So on to the next part. All right, YouTube, so this is the old train horn. This is an all-in-one tank. I think it's like half gallon. You have your gauge on it, your built-in pressure switch, your built-in compressor sits inside of here, and then your air goes out to your horns, and it's that easy. And then this is the valve, air valve for your horns. So it's fairly simple to hook up. It was, like I mentioned, underneath. So what we're going to end up doing is taking this and putting it underneath, and take this and push it a little bit further under the driver's side. I don't have a gauge for it. For right now, I don't need one. I can always come back later and put a T in somewhere just so I can put a gauge in, because this thing only has 5 ports on it. And then down here is your drain. So this will actually be mounting on the side of the frame like this. So yeah, more to follow. All right, YouTube, we got everything wired up for the train horns. As you can see, the compressor would normally mount on top of the tank right here. We removed it. We put it over here. I had that universal plate that I mounted it to. I used a whole bunch of washers to make it fit up in here. We got our train horns. We moved them from over here on the side where the side of the bed was underneath. I did have to lose my spare tire, unfortunately, but it's in the bed. Here's our power wire. You have one that goes all the way to the front of the truck this way. The other one comes over here to the pressure valve right here. The ground is grounded to the side of the frame over here for the compressor. So it's grounded right here. Air lines go up above the tire hoist and they come around to the solenoid, and this is our air valve right here. The blue wire is ground, the red wire is positive, and it's hooked to a momentary switch in the cab that we had our other horns hooked to, so I don't have to worry about trying to tap into my regular horn. This is the space where the horns used to be. It's completely empty now. I had these L brackets laying around. I just flattened them out. Made the holes bigger and used those to mount the tanks up. I still use those frame U-bolts. I just put them around the this cross member right here and just use these L brackets and these bunch of washers and nuts to hold this up in here, and it's solid. The valve it'll come out of the tank here. Well, actually it'll go into the tank here from the compressor. It'll go out of the tank up here. It'll go up above the hoist and then come out to the valves here. And then from here, it'll go out of the valves through these 5/16 hoses over to our horns. Now this is a 1/2 inch line here and 5/16 that blow the horns. So overall, pretty easy. I did have to do some modifications. Again, this is not how it's supposed to be mounted, because the compressor is supposed to be mounted on top of the tank. One thing I also did was take our valve here to drain our water. I moved it from up on the bottom, which is now the top, up here, and that's where I put the blow-off valve. So I just switched those two. That way I can still be able to drain the tank, and for some reason I get water in it. So it is, oh, nope, I got air in it. So it does have air. It takes about 1:30 to 1:40 to fill completely up. This is a 2-gallon tank. So if you have any questions or you need some help with something on how to run something, just let me know. Again, what I've done with mine is I've used the ground wire for my momentary switch. So when I press it, it actually connects the ground versus it being the hot, just because I kept blowing fuses. So that's what I done. It's not for everybody, but again, this is a custom setup, so it is what it is. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you for all the new subscribers. I really appreciate y'all looking out for a brother. Continue to pass these things along, and hopefully I can help somebody do something they're not comfortable doing. So again, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. One love. Peace. All right, YouTube, we have our this is a aux beam 8-gang switch. Since I don't have any auxiliary switches in my truck and you can't order them, it has to come from the factory because they're integrated into the regular harness. Right here you'll see we have the air. We turn that on. The air compressor is running, but you really can't hear it. Here, let me turn some AC down. You really can't hear it. This is for our horn switch. So we turn this on, and then we'll use our momentary button, which is right here, the gray button, and hopefully y'all can hear that. So I'll roll all the windows down now. That was with all the windows up. This is with all the windows down. And we're going to open the sliding window in the back. So now let's hit our button. Yes, sir. It is extremely loud. It's the same one I had on my dually Big Bertha. I missed it. So now when people cut me off, you're gonna get a little added surprise.